What is up, my guys and girls? Welcome back to the series. In today's episode, episode 6, Tack it, whack it, and smack it, we're getting busy.
Okay, following on from yesterday, we've got our string line set up for wheelbase, we've got the track right, we've got our spring tower. I know that once the spring tower goes in, we need a free length of 335 mil. Don't quite have that yet. So what we'll do is lower the K-frame down slightly, which gives us our free length, which will then sort out our shock lengths, and also hopefully the car will sit at the right height. We're going to have to play with it anyway because this car is going to be a lot lighter, probably half a ton lighter than the car it came out of. So there'll be some mucking around to do later, but at least we get things in the right place to begin with. We'll keep going.
We're now making the rear mounts for the A5 K-frame to fit into the Audi 80. What we've got here is a flat piece of steel with a hole drilled through it, with a nut and a bolt. We'll be welding along here to make it a captive nut. Once we have the captive nut, we'll be taking the sheet of steel and placing it on top of our mount, welding it together. All that's left to do is weld it to the bottom of the car.
Thanks, Mitch. We've knocked up a quick jig with your mounts, which is going to allow us to take the K suspension mounts and put them in the car without lifting the entire suspension. Mitchell and Dad decided to knock up our rotisserie out of scrap metal. They've also took out the front and rear suspension to make the car as light as possible. So let's give it a go. Let's try rotating this car.
So before we go much further, before we tipped the car on its side, I put some location marks here, down here, and over here, so that I knew where the suspension would go roughly. Okay, so I've made it a little bit more obvious where we've got to put it. We're going to pick up the jig and see how we go. So I'll just bring it on over. Everything looks like it lines up beautifully, so now we know that that's going to work. What we'll do is we'll mark where we've got to clean, get some of this road grime and rust proofing off the chassis so that we can weld the mounts on. Like it, looking good. The moment of truth has arrived. We're going to see if my calculations work out. I've tacked in the K-frame or diff mount, put in spring mounts. This will give us the ride height, and this is all we're really trying to work out now. Is the ride height going to be right? The idea now is we're going to flip it up the right way, lower it back down onto its wheels, put the springs underneath it, and just see how it sits and see if the height of the car is where we want it to be. All right, well, fingers crossed. Here we go. So, I've got a bit of ballast on the back, in the name of Spencer and Leanne, and the car's sitting really pretty well, considering it's got no doors, no gearbox, no motor, no nothing on it. It's sitting pretty well. I think what I'm going to do, the easiest way to do this and get it right, is to just lift the spring towers up slightly. That'll lower the car. It's only really got to come probably 30 mil. I'd really be happy with that. And of course the issue here is we've got a car that's probably going to be 700 kilos lighter than the suspension was built for, so we can do that. It's a good money saving, and it's also going to mean it's done. Real happy with that. It's Friday. Spence and I are going flat chat. The rear end's out, the front end's out. Day before yesterday, I went across to Zilsey Workshop. They gave me a tyre, and the guys behind at Emu Park Automotive fitted it and fixed the repair. This is the sort of thing that we just can't do without. This really helps. So thanks to both of those guys. Also, another thing that's been fantastic, check this out. Front guard's all welded up. Tunnel's welded in. And this is another thing that helped us out a lot. Daryl, thanks mate. Daryl Watson Engineering gave us the steel, did all sorts of things for us so that we could just whack this together. It saved us so much time. After we did the test with the rear end under, we managed to lift the spring mounts a further 25mm into the chassis. That should give us the right height we need. We're going flat out to try and get this ready so we can show you, if not this weekend, next weekend, the car on its wheels, and we can start the body work.
Breaking me.
We did it!